Oh, we forgot
Hey,
to do the
hello.
spiel. Oh,
Sorry, I
God.
guess now it's recording time. So if you'd like to not be on the public parts of the call, please do feel free to cover your camera, face mute, or do that any way that you'd like. But welcome to Movement Building from Home, Week 4. I'm your host, Chad Sansing, joined by your other host, Abby. And we're convening these calls in response to the ongoing COVID-19 crisis because we want to bring people together for peer-to-peer learning about sustaining our activism and our movement building work in these uncertain times. These calls have focused on running online meetings in week 1, practicing online community care in week 2, practicing personal ecology or self-care well-being in week 3, and this is week 4, all about community management. I'm also going to run through our weekly community participation guidelines reminder for everyone before we begin. But we are here to be respectful, honest, inclusive, accommodating, appreciative, and open to learning from everyone else here in the community. And we do not attack, demean, disrupt, harass, or threaten others, or encourage any such behavior. If you're curious about the full Mozilla Community Participation Guidelines, you can find them linked near line 75 around the bottom of page 2. And should there be any issues or anything related to the CPG you would like to report or discuss, you can reach out to Abby and me. And now for the goals of today's call with Abby.
So goals for today, we're going to learn a bit about crisis communication for messaging during this COVID-19 crisis. We'll use the mountain of engagement to identify engagement pathways in your own online work. And we'll learn about strategies and platforms for adopting in-person community management practices for your online participation. Chad.
Thank you. Yes, and as usual, we want to begin with your community work and your experience. So we're going to engage in a bit of silent documenting together and then having some share outs after that. So we'll take about 5 minutes and you'll have a chance to respond to these prompts below, just typing away. If you would rather share something out loud, we can, of course, take notes for you. And then after those 5 minutes, we'll get back together and surface anything people would like to discuss out loud. If you finish early, you can +1 things others have said that seem really powerful to you as a way to affirm those things. Or, ask those kind questions that help people kind of expand and unpack their thinking more. But our prompts for today are: think of an online space where you felt welcomed. What made it so welcoming? Like, what helped you stay engaged with that space? It's prompt 1. Prompt 2 asks, how are you onboarding new community members right now or deepening community members' engagement with your work online? What's working there in terms of onboarding and engagement? And then the third prompt is, what are your biggest community management challenges right now and how are you approaching them? So tell us about a place where you felt welcomed and what made it welcoming, or tell us about onboarding and community engagement right now, or tell us about the challenges you're facing. Any questions? All right, we'll come back together in 5. With a little over 2 minutes left, lots of typing still going on. But if you have kind of like gone through and made your initial shares, great time to +1 and ask questions. All right, looks like typing has mostly slowed down, but please do complete any of those thoughts that you're sharing. Some +1ings still going on, but it looks like this might be a great opportunity for us to lift up and share aloud anything people would like to hear more about or discuss further.
I really liked the comment about the private public spaces online, or like the private spaces for mentoring, coaching, and critiquing. I don't know who wrote that, but if you could expand, I found that really interesting.
Yeah, that's me, Marilyn. I found in my experience that there's plenty of space to create feedback that multiple people could appreciate or benefit from. But there's also certainly a place for private coaching and working with people and mentoring them in a way that doesn't embarrass them or make them feel uncomfortable. And sometimes that's done best by, a direct message and a lot of intensive hand-holding behind the scenes.
Thanks, Marilyn.
I'm noticing a lot of things that are also, great things to keep in mind, kind of regardless of circumstance, but is especially important right now, like breaking up things and offering small tasks so that people can kind of get some success rolling as they join a community or as they continue onward with it. And we have this moment to kind of recalibrate success and carrying ways together. There's a lot of +1s around the first couple of items too, and the very first items about what made things welcoming. And it's that acknowledgement, appreciation, and recognition that maybe comes with meeting with success and finding easy ways to get involved, like those small tasks and getting help there. Are there other things people would like to share? Did anybody +1 those or write those who wants to share a bit more about them? Are there any particular ways folks are finding that are really resonating with their community members and like how to recognize people right now? Like kind of like where online to do that?
I'll go. Just I haven't found like an online platform that I'm using to talk to community members, but rather they're direct emails or phone calls. I work for a planning district commission, so we are filling out on behalf of a lot of nonprofits, the localities, counties, the urgent needs relief grant by CDBG. So just doing that and reaching out and saying, hey, I'm doing this has opened up folks I haven't spoken to before, but also they're feeling that gratitude from the PDC to be helping them out to get these funds and keep the community going and keep them open.
Thank you. Anything else?
I like the How to Slack guide that was shared. I hadn't seen that before.
That's good to know. Yes, absolutely. There was also someone wrote down their challenges that since all of my interactions are online now, they can sometimes get harder to prioritize or keep them distinct. I was wondering if whoever wrote that might share a little bit more. I thought that was very interesting.
I think that was me.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, basically, normally I would have separate spaces in my head for everything. I go somewhere to meet a certain bunch of people. I go to the office and there's my colleagues. I go to the pub with some friends and to a restaurant maybe with others and to a tango dance with some others. That's all fine. And now it's all in this screen that's before me. And it somehow, it all sort of meshes into each other, and yeah, there's no distincting anymore. And also, if I have to do tasks, I don't have them keyed to a specific space anymore. So it's not I get to the office and I go and do work. It's all just one big pile now.
Yeah, I hadn't really realized that until I read that comment, and I'm like, I have had that feeling too, for sure. Any last thoughts here before we move on?
I just want to say, yeah, there's no replacement for food. Like sharing a meal with someone. Right? Yeah.
No, there is not.
All right, well, thank you all very much. I just found myself nodding my head at kind of the steps that we're taking that are working, and also the challenges that we're facing. So I appreciate your generosity of sharing, as always. Abby now is going to take us into a bit of today's content and talking about online community management.
Awesome. Thanks, Chad. Yeah, and we will be doing 3 sections for this. So the first, I'm going to be sharing 2 different frameworks, one around messaging during this time, during a crisis, another around a way to think about participation in your community and pathways. And then Ruben, who's joining us from Mozilla's community development team, there's a wave, will be talking a bit about his work there and some of the platforms they use, which I think will be helpful for you. So a lot going on today. I'll try to be fast. So first up is around messaging during this COVID-19 lessons from communication, from crisis communications. There is a source there for this, but I love this quote from Napoleon, who originally said it, I think, that a leader's job is to paint reality and give hope. So it is really important to be honest at this time and to not try to, say things are better than they are. So instead of this naive hope, but like a realistic hope. So acknowledging where you are now, but still offering hope, a rational basis for persistence and why you want to keep going. For us at Mozilla, like we're seeing that the internet is more and more important in people's communication and how people connect. So we want people to be using this platform to connect with their communities. So that's why we want to keep going forward with this and why we think it's really important, even though there is like a real crisis going on in the world. And then the third point is empathy. Really offer that emotional understanding. And I know a lot of you have been getting emails where the beginning is just like, I hope you're well, hope you're safe. But I do think it is important still to be doing that, especially in certain parts of the world, to just keep having that empathy and to keep being empathetic when people in your community flake out or like can't come to things. Be okay with that, especially right now. There's a lot going on. So I hope these 3 things help you as you think about messaging going forward. I know we're a couple months late for the initial messaging, but maybe next time there's a crisis. Think about that like realistic hope that you can be offering as a leader. All right, next section, I do want to spend most of the time on this idea of this mountain of engagement. There are slides if you're a visual learner, if you want to see like a picture of an actual mountain with all these steps on it, but I'm just going to go through in the doc. But first, the big idea really is that any sustainable community anywhere, you need 2 things. You need new people coming into the community, and you need a way to level up people who are already in that community. If you're missing one of these 2 things, your community will die out eventually. Either no one will be trained to be a leader, or when your leaders step down, no one's going to be around anymore. So you need both of these things to sort of keep your community going over time. So in this mountain, we have different levels going up the mountain. So if you're imagining not being in the mountain is not knowing about the project at all, the very first level at the bottom is discovery. So how do they first hear about your project or your group or what you're doing? The next ring is first contact. So how do they first engage with you? So they might join your mailing list, join your Slack group, say hi in person in the future. Then from there, participation. Maybe they actually come to a webinar. They start actually chatting in the Slack group. They start making issues in your GitHub, whatever it is, participation. After that, it's sustained participation. They stick around in your chat. They join multiple channels. They keep coming to sessions. They keep sending you pull requests or issues. From sustained participation, there's networked participation, which I think is really interesting. It's when they start inviting their friends into the community, or they start helping others sort of move up that mountain. So they're no longer just going on the journey themselves, but bringing others with them, that networked participation. And then finally, leadership. This could be as small as like they've helped you run a session, or maybe they're leading the entire project. That from leadership, that can expand to a lot of things. But we're gonna look at this mountain and look at sort of best practices in an online setting, how you move people between these different steps. And I think a lot of things you've already talked about before are best practices for doing this. So good job already thinking of these. And I'm glad you liked the slides. Okay, I'm trying to go fast. So sorry if this is like really sped up. So at each step, so for someone to first discover your project, really that's about promotion. How are you telling people about this? And this depends a lot on your audience. Are you gonna promote this like on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, emails, mailing lists? There's a lot of different places, and that depends a lot on who you're working with. But other best practices is just having your project or your work somewhere available online. So having a website that's public and findable so people can discover it. And then if possible, I'd also recommend having an open license so that people know that they can take what you have and then share it with others. So it really helps a lot with discovery. Make sure everything's open. So now that someone has discovered your project or whatever you're doing, what can you do so that they'll actually contact you? And I think that's where having a very clear mission and vision is really important. If someone finds your website, they don't understand what you're doing, they're gonna be a lot less likely to actually contact you. So spending the time to like write down clearly what it is you're doing and making sure that's one of the first things they see makes a really big difference. Having multiple communication channels is also really helpful. I've seen some groups, they say, hey, if you're interested, send me an email. That's pretty good, but it's also a pretty big barrier compared to something like join our mailing list or join our Slack or something a little bit more passive where they can lurk for a little bit. So have multiple channels where it makes it just a little bit easier for people to first contact you. And then, yeah, similar to having that clear vision or mission, like have a really good README file if this is an open source project, or a good landing page so people can understand what it is you're all about and then say, yes, I want to be part of this, and they'll reach out and contact you. So now that they've contacted you, how do you get them to participate? And I'd say the number one thing is that personal invitation. If you personally invite someone from volunteerism research, people are 4 times more likely to volunteer if they have a personal invitation compared to not having one. So if there's someone who you think would be great in your community, like ask them to do something, that makes a really big difference. In open source, there's this idea of requests for contribution, which is similar, it's a bit more passive, but even just soliciting asks, or just asking people to contribute makes a big difference. Then on the flip side of that is really setting expectations of what it means to be participating. So that's having things like a code of conduct or contributing guidelines for an open source project. So people know that in this community, this is what they value. This is how I do things. These are the ways I should format stuff, or the ways I should be discussing things. So setting that up really clear makes it a lot more likely for people to actually participate. Now that they've participated, getting them to sustain participation. How do they keep coming back? That's that recognition piece. One of the first things you set up above was like that gratitude. So thanking people for their work, recognizing what they've done. That might be putting them on a contributors list, that might be thanking them publicly. It might be that rituals of thanks or gratitude, like Chad's been talking about. So just really making sure you are thanking people for participating. It makes a big difference for people who want to keep coming back. For the people that came because of the mission, I saw a couple of people talked about this in the silent documenting. It's really helpful if you can connect the work that they're doing back to that mission. So it's like, oh, you came here because you want to change the world. Well, because you edited these docs, more people will understand what we're doing and we will change the world. That's a bit of a stretch, but yeah, I think you understand. Connect their work to the mission. And then also matching their skills and interests. So take time to talk to people in your community and see what it is that they want to do. If they're really interested in technical writing or writing JavaScript or canvassing or something, try to give them that kind of work to do. It makes it really easy for them to keep coming back and keep participating with you. And then to networked participation, how do they start inviting others? These are just a couple things. I think it depends a lot on your community, but like providing some sort of mentorship or training so people see that there's real value in being part of this community can really help them bring others in. And especially if it's mentorship around like mentoring others up that mountain, that's like a built-in way for someone to become that networked participant because they're helping others in the community. And then also professional development, if you can provide things like certificates. Yeah, I can't think of another thing. It's something that says that they're actually learning, or like even connections. I think that makes a big difference and people will start inviting others. And then finally, leadership. For this step, really, again, it's that personal invitation. Sorry, someone was in the waiting room. I don't know how long they were there. Okay, that personal invitation and saying like why you think that they would be a good leader and being specific around like what it is you're looking for. I think that helps. Setting those clear expectations again. Like this is what a leader does. We think you need to spend X many weeks for this much time helping us. Making sure there is a value exchange, that you're not just benefiting off of volunteer labor, but they're actually getting something out of this. And then, yeah, I'm a big fan of this inclusive leadership cycle. You can click through, and it's linked below also in the resources. But big takeaway I have from this is seeing this leadership piece as a cycle. There's a lot of times where I've been invited to like be a leader in a community, and then just over time I've become like the worst maintainer of that project because I've just forgotten about it. But this way, there is a way for, there's like onboardings in there and there's renewal. It's not assumed that you'll always be there, but it is time bound. So I do appreciate that for an inclusive leadership cycle. I won't talk too much about that because I do want to make sure Ruben has enough time. But that is the 2 frameworks. And if you have questions, there's a section below for both Ruben and I for Q&A. But with that, I'll pass it off to Ruben. Oh, we can't hear you. Maybe now we can. Can you say something? No, I cannot hear you. Oh, there we go. I think maybe. No. Oh, we should have tested this earlier.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the turbo mic from the, I was just in a call.
Oh no, it went away again.
Okay, let's try with this microphone. I'm so sorry for the quality because it's not this one. Hello everyone, and thank you for being here today. I'm glad to also be with all of you sharing and learning. So my name is Ruben. I work for Mozilla as a community strategist inside the Mozilla's community development team. And I'm basically the work that I'm doing is trying to figure out what is our strategy with our communities and how we align that in a way that we balance communities' health and sustainability, and also value to Mozilla as an organization, as a project. And today I want to share with you a few of the tooling that we have been using lately to manage our communities and to engage our communities, where basically our goal is trying to make it easy for everyone to engage with Mozilla, stay connected, engaged, and also to maintain healthy and safe communities, as we were talking about, like following Mozilla participation guidelines and so on. So in terms of tooling, I want to talk about 3 tools that we use the most. So the first one is Matrix or Riot. So basically, it's our chat application that we have implemented across Mozilla early this year. And basically, it's the place for synchronous communications. It's open source, it's secure, and you have a link at the bottom if you are curious about why Mozilla has decided Matrix for its communities and why we close IRC. So some of the reasons are on a presentation that you can read later. But basically the way we have been doing this is like we have been organizing our synchronous communications per project, per topic, so anyone has the freedom to create their own space for their conversations. During the past months, we have been also using that for bringing support to people. So basically we have some support rooms, one that we call quarantine tips, where community members can go in and tell us how they feel this week, the things that are helping them to work remotely, to be home, etc. Because this is also like a social place where we have been building relationship with people and where people have been building relationship to each other. Another great thing about this tool is that there is an integration with Jitsi, the audio and video service that is using open standards. So basically you can create a room and chat as you do, for example, on Slack, but you can also like enable video and audio and have meetings with your communities in different rooms. And in general, this is more like informal or quick conversations that are happening in a place where we can ensure the safety of our communities, right? If something bad happens, we have control over it and we can enforce our guidelines. This is really key, as well as obviously privacy and security reasons. The second place is Discourse. So this is a more long-time tool that we have been using at Mozilla for many years now, which is like our forums, our asynchronous place for communications. Again, really split into projects and groups, so you can talk about different themes in a very separate way. And this is basically where people can subscribe to get notifications where new messages are happening on the different interests and projects we have. This is where we have been publishing our most important announcements, community-facing announcements on things that are happening, and basically the main place where we are gathering feedback in the public. So there is a lot of conversations about the direction of different projects or different initiatives at Mozilla, where we have been gathering public feedback and where we have been running some more deeper discussions and conversations. And obviously this is also the place where people can to talk about different projects and provide more deeper discussions. So conversation might be starting on Matrix and Riot as an informal conversation, but then once that happens, people move to a more deeper and long-term conversation on Discourse. And also this tool has been great also to enforce our participation guidelines. It has great tools in terms of community moderation that the old mailing lists were not able to catch up with the time. So it's a modern tool again for these times to have simple discussions around the specific project. The third piece is something that we have built. Our community portal at Mozilla has been the manifestation of everything we think about Mozilla communities, how they should organize, how they should discover opportunities and put it together into a single place. So basically this is our place for engagement. This is our place for groups and communities to self-organize. This is also our place for opportunity matching, for discovery. We are having regular campaigns around different projects that really deliver value to these projects, and we surface this here. There is a newsletter that people can subscribe so they can find new opportunities as they happen. And also we have like activities at Mozilla. So if I want to contribute to Mozilla, what are the most important things? In the past, we know this has been like super difficult for people to understand what was really bringing value. There is so much to do at Mozilla. So here we want to be really focused on what is bringing value today to Mozilla and what are the ongoing campaigns happening. Also, this is our place for event organization, discovery, and management, where anyone in the community can create their own events, so people can join, and also they even can connect events with campaigns and with activities, so it's clear what is happening in the offline and online world around our communities and our initiatives. And this is also a place where we have been integrating other tools. So basically, people have been self-organizing, as I said, into groups. And basically, when you create a group that is related with Mozilla and you are doing things for Mozilla, you get integration with the forums, with Discourse, you get integration with Matrix. So it's easy for people to discover what is out there in terms of tooling for them to support their communities without having them to create their own website, create their own chat system, build their own forum. So everything is already there for them to be supported. And also it's a good place also to discover other people who might be interested into doing things similar to what you are doing. And as I said, this is our way to try to consolidate how we think about communities at Mozilla. I also, in the additional reading section, I also put a link to a blog post that I published a few months ago about how we have been changing how we do communities, which is longer to explain than 5 minutes into tooling, but I think brings a lot of background on why we are creating a community portal, why we are using the tools the way we are using it. And just to finalize, I think it's been really important for us. Two things. One is always try to make sure that we use tooling that support healthy communities, but at the same time that we are supporting tooling that support communities to bring value to the organization. That's a challenging balance to find with communities, because we care about people, we care about the projects, and usually we are in the middle trying to balance both. And I think this is the most important thing to take in consideration when thinking about strategy or thinking about tooling.
Cool. Thank you so much, Ruben. Chad, do you want to talk about? Yeah, so I think we're moving to, we're going to have asynchronous Q&A just for time. So if you have any questions for myself or Ruben, please type them below. We already have a question in there, but we'll answer those while you're in your breakout rooms asynchronously. That way we didn't want to cut from your time talking to each other because we know you really like that. So Chad.
Yes, welcome to this week's breakout rooms. As usual, our asks are remember to listen to each other, and be grateful towards one another, and really share from your own experience so that you're not judging or trying to solutioneer what others are talking about. Use that common denominator of kindness, only share what you're comfortable sharing, and if you need help, use the help button, and Abby or I will show up to help you out. This week, if you are with some new friends, don't forget to introduce yourselves. And then we have 3 prompts. The first is, how might you apply something like the mountain of engagement or that idea of, multiple scaling contribution pathways to your community now? How might you calibrate that? The second prompt is, what are some new approaches to community management that you're learning right now? Are there any that you can imagine continuing to use after the current crisis passes? And just how are you planning to stay connected with new allies and new community members in the future? As folks are kind of discovering your work and your community online right now, how do you imagine going forward with them as well? But those are the prompts. Any questions about those? All right, Abby, are the rooms ready?
The rooms are ready. Thanks for writing your questions in. We'll answer those while you're in your rooms. And we'll see you in 15 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had some good breakout rooms. And we're going to move over to some shared insights. So in section number 8, did any big ideas come out of your breakout room? Share what came out there. Share if any questions came up in your breakout room for the group. And then to respond to each other, you can do +1s or affirm with those kind questions like we did before. So we'll do that for a few minutes and then we'll verbalize what we found. Still lots of typing. Yeah, if you've typed already, please go through and +1 things. I do want to take a moment to verbalize if anything comes up. I really like this one, building relationships online that hopefully can be translated to face-to-face in the future. Hope. That's really nice. All right, does anyone want to verbalize what they've written? Or highlight some questions for the group? Yeah, just going through, patience is the most important ally in these uncertain times. Definitely agree there. Building relationships, we already talked about that one. Meeting people where they are in terms of choice of technology. I think Carrie shared an example. Yeah, I think that's really important nowadays. Just that learning curve while people are also struggling with so much else in their life, it makes sense to meet them where they're at. Cool. And sustaining, oh, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna talk about that one, that sustaining participation when community management is an unpaid role, especially if it's a solo role. Like we were talking in our group about how some of these initiatives start out as a project that's got discrete funding and a discrete time frame, but there's a vision for a long-term sustained community that could come out of it. That hasn't been, the support for how that would be maintained isn't necessarily funded in the beginning, and taking the leap to trust that that's going to be supported over time can be hard if you're kind of the sole project manager at the beginning, and long-term community management isn't necessarily written into your job description.
Yeah, for sure. I think there is a way to get to a place where the community can sort of sustain itself. Like if people are leveling up with the community and helping each other and like encouraging each other. But if you haven't gotten there yet, it's tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's tension between being running the community by yourself and getting stuff done, and having to invest all that time in bringing people up so that they can co-lead. And they both require energy.
Yeah.
And energy is limited. So yeah, that sounds like a hard position to be in. Good luck.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. And I think like for long-term view, it makes sense to bring others up, but sometimes you just need to get things done right now. So it's tricky.
I think the thing that I'm taking away from it also, which is a long-term view, is just this need mindsets about how we conceive of projects in the first place, and to be thinking about building community as a metric of success from the beginning, so that we design the project so that there are mechanisms to sustain that communody.
Yeah, for sure.
Built in the beginning. It's not how the research world or a lot of the grant funding world necessarily works. So
yeah, and I think it's important if you're able to show like why it's important for community to be co-creating this or to be part of this, it will actually make the project so much better. That I know we only have 2 minutes left, so I want to pass it off to Chad. I know there's great discussion happening, so keep talking in the notes there, but I'll let Chad do our closing circle, the speedy one.
All right, thank you. I was just throwing in a taxonomy of value exchanges underneath the conversational bookmark there we were just talking about. Yes, here we are for the final closing circle. Try to make this brief. Please do complete this week's 2 to 3 minute survey. It has a very important question. We would love to know whether or not you'd be interested in a special bonus episode about how we design calls like these. We've heard some requests for that. We would like to see if it is something of broad interest so that we can invest the time in making it and sharing it with you. Format TBD, but first we need to know if there's kind of enough interest in that, so please complete the survey. If you have shares and shout outs, you want to lift up and express gratitude for people in your communities who are making a difference right now, please do that right there below. And if you have peer assists, if you'd like to continue conversations, if you have a project and need a contribution, if you just want to stay connected, please put those there. There are the usual ways to stay connected with Mozilla after that. And in our weekly resources, I am going to highlight the media-based organizing resources and the collective care newsletter sign up from Allied Media Projects. Really like that newsletter. It has sections on pleasure activism, mutual aid, offering aid, looking for funding, just very useful every time that it comes out right now. With all that being said, I'm just going to say thank you. Wow, 4 weeks, we've shared a ton, and we've learned a lot with you. And Abby, any other final thoughts?
No, just huge thanks for how you've shown up and just spending these 4 weeks with us. We've learned a ton, and it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we'll say thank you and goodbye and get a couple waves in and then stop the recording.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks
Bye.
so much.
Lovely meeting you.